Welcome to Fringe Fanatics with Chad Lee and Chris Zane.
Welcome to episode 87 of Fringe Fanatics. I am Chris Zane.
I'm Chad Lee.
Yes,
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes, thank you for tuning in. This will all make sense when you see this when it's put out. So we appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. This is episode 87. As always, each and every week, we feature, someone who wore that number the best.
The best one.
Yes, and this week it is Mr. Sidney Crosby, number 87 for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
The next one.
Yes, the next one, also known as Sid the Kid. He was born in Canada. He is a professional ice hockey center and captain of the Pittsburgh Penguins of the National Hockey League. Like I just said, nicknamed Sid the Kid. He was selected first overall by the Penguins in 2005 of the NHL entry draft. Born and raised in Halifax, Canada, where Mr. Nathan McKinnon also hails from. They are very good friends. Hang out in the offseason. Crosby was considered one of the most lauded prospects in professional ice hockey history and is widely regarded as one of the greatest ice hockey players of all time, even though he hasn't racked up all of the accolades as some of the others. But take us to the next spot, Chad.
All right, well, Crosby in 2014 again won the Hart Memorial Trophy as well as his second Art Ross Trophy with 104 points and his third Ted Lindsay Award. Crosby led Pittsburgh to Stanley Cup championships in 2016 and 2017, repeat champs back-to-back, becoming the third player to win the Conn Smythe Trophy, playoff MVP, in consecutive years. In 2017, he won a second Richard Trophy, which was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. And if you asked most NHL fans, I'd say they'd probably put him up there as the top 10, some maybe in top 5. I know my buddy Colt, that's his biggest favorite player. So yeah, he's definitely one of the greats.
Yeah, I mean, even when he debuted in the 2005-2006 season, he recorded 102 points and finished up as the the runner-up to the Calder Trophy. I believe that we figured out it was Alex Ovechkin who won it that year. At 18 years, 253 days, he is the youngest player to date to reach 100 points in an NHL season. By his second season, he led the NHL with 120 points to capture the Art Ross Trophy, becoming the youngest player and the only teenager to win a scoring title in any major North American sports league. So yeah, Sidney Crosby's done a lot of things. I think he's kind of, in his the twilight of his career, if you will. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him leaving the Penguins and going and trying to chase a cup here in his later years. But I would love for him to, do it for the Penguins here. But we'll see what happens as things play out here.
Yeah.
It's getting close to the end. Well, curtain call's coming.
I'm sure just like Ovechkin, he'll probably play for another 3 or 4 more years, if not longer. Well, all right, let's get into some headlines. We got a couple NFL headlines to hit.
Yeah, a couple. Let's hit them right now.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
That's right, and we are giving you the business of football as Mr. Darren Waller retires at the age of 31. Former Pro Bowler. He made a pretty good splash in the league as he, kind of struggled with substance abuse issues, ended up going to rehab, kind of having a resurgence with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they were still in Oakland at the time. But now when they moved, they ended up giving him a big deal. I think it was 3 years, $51 million. Yeah. He was the highest paid tight end in 2022. In March 2023, though, he was traded to the Giants in what was expected to be a big boost to the New York offense. However, again, he was limited by injuries. Has been kind of like the overall theme of his career. He only appeared in 12 games with 52 catches, 502 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. And now he goes on to make weird, creepy videos. for his music. So
Yeah, and Kelsey Plum's probably the one that's
Plume. You said it was Plume.
I know.
And
I
Plum
keep getting it wrong
because I've done it to you. I'm inside
Kelsey,
of your,
inside of my head,
bored
but
in your brain. There.
I'd say she's the one that's probably going to be laughing to the bank afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, she's like a spokeswoman for like an underwear company now. I think she's in
cigar
charge of
company.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. She's
And going to be playing for the United States basketball team.
Yeah, which Caitlin Clark is not, and that's been kind of a big point of contention.
It is, but I don't have too much of an issue with it.
I don't really either, but I do think they're missing out on a very big profitable thing for them.
Very profitable. That's right. But if you, like Wilbon said, if you want to win, you get the best players.
Yeah, that's true.
All right.
That's
well,
true.
we got one more news to hit.
One more little bit of news, and it is in the video game world, as Christian McCaffrey is the new Madden cover athlete. It's going to pop up on your screen right now. You're looking at it. He looks very muscular, and he's running, so he looks good. And he is the first San Francisco 49er to make the the Madden cover. He's also the first running back since Adrian Peterson and Barry Sanders in 2013. Prior to that was Peyton Hillis, who we all know was basically cursed afterwards. All thanks to Josh McDaniels trading him to the Browns because he liked his wife.
Yeah, because he was insecure.
Yeah. So he's also the first non-QB since Antonio Brown in 2018. So big ups to Christian McCaffrey. I mean, if it wasn't for him, the 49ers would not have made it as far as they did last year. But here we are, he's got it. So we'll see if the
Deserves
curse
it. Yeah,
continues.
Offensive Player of the Year last year. Yeah. It's nice to see a running back get it, somebody different than a QB. So hopefully the curse doesn't strike him.
Yes, let's hope. Let's hope
fantasy MVP.
Basically, yeah. If you are drafting number one, it's smart to grab him if he can stay healthy. So
No doubt.
Where would you like to head to next, Chad? We kind of got a free-for-all right now.
Let's just keep running down the
Let's go to
short
NBA.
ones. Yeah,
Or the short ones. Let's do the
let's
short
knock
ones.
those out. Let's talk about the PGA, where Scotty Scheffler just keeps on winning.
Yes, he does.
Son of a bitch, ball. Why didn't you just go home? That's your home. Are you too good for your home? Answer me!
Scotty Scheffler's ball had no problem finding its home as he beats out Morikawa on a close battle on the back nine. They both ended up looking like they were chipping from almost the exact same spots on the back of the green. Morikawa's goes a little bit to the left and a little farther. Scheffler's probably about within 5 feet, and he sinks it and wins. He's now tied with Tiger Woods for the most wins before the U.S. Open at 5.
Yep. I think we found out, I think it was like around 2005 that the last time somebody had done this had won 5 before the month of July, and it's leading into the U.S. Open, which starts on Thursdays, which I'm sure he'll be a heavy favorite. You never know, though. Morikawa has been golfing really well. Victor Hovland just won recently, or I think he maybe just got like second. I think that's what it was. I think he was really close. I think he was third. But, there are some other competitors, but it is a major, so I think the live golfers will be joining him as well.
Yeah, it's the only time they can.
Yep.
That's Scotty Scheffler's 5th victory in 8 starts, and his second major, as he's won now the Masters and the Players Championship. And his win at the Memorial now, he's going to be looking really good rolling into the U.S. Open. Probably going to be favored to win it. So.
Yeah. Where's it at this year? Does it say?
I don't know, but we can find out real quick.
Let's see. Hit it.
Well, I'm going to try and hit it. I got to enter it into the Google later.
I meant to mention earlier, too, this was a Jack Nicklaus design course that he won at the Memorial, so it was kind of cool to see. Pretty old Jack Nicklaus, but still getting around, so that was good to see.
The Golden Bear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shaking his hand after the win, so pretty amazing.
I did see John Rahm has pulled out of
thank you for mentioning
US
this.
Open with a foot infection.
After the first rehearsal, I saw that, and I wanted to bring it up again, so I'm glad we can talk about it.
The first rehearsal.
That's what I'm calling it.
We did it.
First take.
We had a first take today. I haven't done that in a while, but there's always a time to do something dumb again. So we did a little first take today, a little run through for no reason.
Yeah.
I can't find out where it's at. I don't know why it's so hard to find out where it's at.
Golf and then
Pinehurst Resort.
Oh, you found it? Okay.
124th U.S. Open at the Pinehurst Resort. So yeah, Pinehurst. Here we come.
All right, cool.
Yeah. Well, let's get into the F1 as we rip around the track. Chad looks confused. ESPN's pissing him off, but we are not pissed off at this race this weekend as the parity continues, as the leaderboard shrinks in terms of the time between the top 4 positions.
Yeah.
Max Verstappen wins the AWS Canadian GP at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, I think. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just gave that one a shot. I'm not good at French. Needless to say, Max Verstappen wins with 2 pits. 1 hour, 45 minutes, 47 seconds, and some change. Lando Norris was in second behind him at plus 3 seconds. George Russell in third at plus 4.3. Lewis Hamilton in fourth at plus 4.9. And Oscar Piastri in fifth at plus 10.19. But the theme you can see here in the top 5 is that McLaren and Mercedes are right on Red Bull's tail, and with Russell winning the pole, it wasn't easy for Verstappen to get ahead in this race, and it's not like normal where he's got a 15-second pole. You know, he's not dominating like he was before. So it's good to see, because it was getting a little bit boring. We were kind of joking about just having a thing up on the wall that just had wins down all the columns for Max Verstappen, and then we would just change whichever ones.
Whenever we cover F1, it was basically just like who finished in second,
second and third, because it didn't matter. But it's changed this season. Things have happened, and it's getting pretty entertaining. So if you haven't yet, make sure you tune in and watch as we are cruising along in this season. And let me get back to what we
as a team, Ferrari and McLaren and Mercedes, pretty much Ferrari and McLaren are really nipping at the heels of Red Bull, because for the Constructors' Cup, it's just basically Max that's doing all the work for Red Bull. They've accumulated 301 points. Now Ferrari's up to 252, and then McLaren at 212. So it's kind of a 3-man race, 3-team race basically. Mercedes down there in fourth at 124, but they're chipping away. But if Max's teammates aren't going to keep finishing in top spots, then the Ferrari and McLaren are going to try to catch them.
The cutoff for points is 10, so if Sergio keeps finishing below that, it's not going to be too long with 2 teammates finishing in the top 5 before they're ahead of Red Bull. And the next chance they have is June 21st to the 23rd at the Aramco Spanish GP at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya.
All right.
So that will be happening. That one's an early one, 7 a.m., June 23rd. So unfortunately, set your alarm, because you're going to have to get up early for that one. So tune in, tune out, and rip around the track with us. Don't tune in, tune out, don't drop out. Well, where should we go next, Chad? What would you like to do here?
Let's cover... I think we should save NBA for the last. We did that. Well, I think let's move to MLB real quick. We're just going to run through the standings. Won't take too long, and then we'll cover hockey.
All right, let's do it.
Yep. So won't get into it too much, but there was a really good series over the weekend. I tuned into a good handful of it. The Yankees and Dodgers, and the Dodgers stole 2 from the Yankees in New York. It was a hell of a series. All 3 games were really good.
The battle of the biggest wallets.
Yeah, pretty much. And Aaron Judge has really got a hot bat right now. This guy is leading the league in pretty much every category possible. RBIs, batting percentage, home runs. I mean, he's the favorite, Vegas favorite right now for AL MVP. And the Yankees are sitting at first place at 47-21. They're 2.5 games up on the Orioles, and they're also 2 games up on my Royals right now, who they're currently playing, which just how would you put it? Not tipped off. Just started.
Yeah, first pitch just happened. Yeah.
And they're in the top of the first, and there's only 1 out, and they're already up to.
Okay, you're going down You're going down each league. I was like looking at the divisions and everything, and I was like, where are you getting this Kansas City? But I get it now, because you're looking at American League and National League standings. Maybe you aren't.
No, I'm not. I'm just talking about. I said they're up on the Orioles.
Oh.
Yeah, Royals, Orioles sound kind of similar. They're
guess
playing
so.
my Royals right now.
Oh, that's what you said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. I'm an idiot.
But
So
the Guardians
that's why
are
I
up
do
on
this.
my Royals by 4.5 games. The Guardians are sitting at 42-22. Guardians are playing really good ball right now. And then, yeah, the Royals are doing way better than expected, but they've kind of been bouncing back and forth. They're 4-6 out of their last 10 games. Kind of sucks. The White Sox still atrocious, 17-50 in last place.
In the whole league.
Oh, yeah, horrible. And to finish out the West Division, the Mariners leading at 38-30, just kind of a little above 500. 7-3 in their last 10 games. They are 5.5 up on last year's champs, the Rangers.
Yeah, the Oakland Athletics doing better than the Rockies, and they don't really have a home.
That's sad.
Well, let's move into the National League. We've got the Philadelphia Phillies, 45 wins, 20 losses. They are 9 games ahead of the Braves, sitting at 35 and 28 losses. Moving to the Central Division, we have the Milwaukee Brewers at 39 and 27. They are 7 games ahead of the Cincinnati Reds, who are sitting at 32 and 34. Moving to the West, surprisingly, the Dodgers should have won all of their games with how much money they spent this offseason, but they are in first, sitting at 41 and 26. They are 7.5 games ahead of the San Diego Padres, sitting at 35 and 35, an even 500. And then my Colorado Rockies, 23 and 43, 17.5 games back from first. We're coming to get you, Dodgers.
Yeah.
Just wait.
They're going to go on a streak like Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. All we need is a kid to break his arm, and then all of a sudden he's throwing 100. I don't even remember how fast he was throwing in that.
I don't remember if they ever showed it, but it was really fast.
I don't want to know.
They need Bumgardner.
Yeah.
That's
Madison, yeah.
Pretty sure that was his name. It was something like Bumgardner.
Oh, the other guy?
Yeah.
The Yankees or whoever, the
It was
other team?
Yeah, it was another guy like that. But, yeah, the Dodgers are also, they're playing really good. But they should with that lineup. Ohtani's playing really good baseball right now, hitting it out all the time. The Phillies and, who was it? Who did they just play in London?
Oh, it was the Brewers, wasn't it?
I can't remember. But Bryce Harper has been batting really well. He just hit like a bomb out of London. And that was a pretty entertaining series.
They're like, oh, what is he doing there with that bat?
It doesn't look like a cricket bat.
It
What the
like a
hell?
cricket stick.
This isn't football.
So yeah,
that wraps up baseball.
That wraps up baseball. It's we haven't got super deep into baseball yet, guys.
Yeah,
We
got a lot. We got 2 finals going on right now, and
It's
once
a
that
lot.
wraps up, we're gonna break out the old gloves and the wooden bats. We'll start talking about it a little more.
Yeah, we will for sure. We'll get everything out. We'll get the glove oiled up. We'll get ready to rip and roar.
That's
right.
right.
The 3rd time I've used that today, so why not?
Yeah.
Well, it's that time, Chad. Do you want to end on NBA or start on NHL?
Let's go to the NHL. We'll finish on
Let's
NBA.
do it. Let's freaking do it. Let's do it, man.
You do that, you go to the box, 2 minutes by yourself, and you feel shame, and then you get free.
Yep.
And then you get free. Well, with Canada finally being represented in the Cup final, there has been a 43% increase in viewership in North America over last season.
That's
I don't
awesome.
know if you
That's
saw
huge.
that.
Yeah.
7.1 million people across the U.S. and Canada combined tuned in for Game 1 of the Stanley Cup final.
Disney-owned ABC and ESPN is very pleased with that.
Yes.
But I bet Canada isn't too happy because they're going up against the favored Florida Panthers, who Game 1, Bobrovsky, was the one who stole the show.
Yeah.
With 25 or 30 saves. I can't remember how-
Something like that in Game 1. Needless to say, they have run into the buzzsaw, Sergei Bobrovsky.
Man, he's a wall.
He literally is a wall.
Some of those saves in that Game 1 were incredible, where he was diving for the puck, using the stick, falling down multiple times. His effort is bar none.
Yeah, 32 shots, 32 saves.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so he blanks the Oilers in Game 1. They win 3-0. Yeah, and they're they're getting outplayed. That's the thing. The Edmonton's biggest, their strength coming into this was their power play, and they cannot do anything.
They haven't
on the
won.
Power play,
They've been killed. I think they're 0-16. I think that's before last night. I think maybe it's 0-17 now on their power plays in the postseason, which is crazy. And now they're going up against the best defense in the best defense to enter the playoffs in the Panthers, and that's been basically their strength, leading by Tkachuk. And I mean, and then you got Bobrovsky back there. It's looking like it could be the Panthers. I'm really hoping Edmonton makes it a series by winning at least one game in Edmonton.
They're gonna have to. If they lose Game 3, this could be over in 4. I don't want to talk in just total. I guess what's the word? Captain Obvious here, but you go down 3-0 against this team, you're not going to win 4. Bobrovsky is the linchpin in this team. He's playing out of his mind, and I didn't realize this. He's killed 3 President's Cups teams himself.
Wow.
The Rangers this year, last year.
That's true.
And
with
then
the
when
Bruins.
he was on the Columbus Blue Jackets, he killed the Tampa Bay Lightning in like 2016 or something like that.
That's crazy.
So this guy, when it comes down to the playoffs, they are really good, and he is really good, and he is playing out of his mind. And in Game 2, you have Evan Rodriguez score 2 of the 4 consecutive goals in the third period, as Edmonton actually led this game into the third period, 1-0. Then Evan Rodriguez scores those 2 consecutive goals, and they just put their foot on the gas, and that was it. The Oilers don't have a chance to win unless it's going to be like a 4-5, 3-4 game. It's going to have to be a high-scoring game, I think, for them to win.
They're going to have to break Bobrovsky for something.
Unless you can start getting some pucks behind him, I don't know what they can do. Hyman is a guy on the defensive side for the Oilers who in the past couple series has been that guy, kind of like I'm sorry, now I'm totally drawing a blank. He's just been that defenseman like Valery Nichushkin for the Avalanche, who just gets in front of the goal, and he's 6'4", 200 and some pounds, and he just blocks the goalie's face, and the guy can't see anything, and he's trying to look around him. That's about all you have a chance here, because even on breakaways, Bobrovsky has been shutting people down. I mean, I think last game they literally only had 1 high-scoring chance the entire game.
Damn.
He's standing on his head, and there's no way to beat a team like that, especially a team that's going to outwork you along the boards and do all the nitty-gritty stuff. They're just going to pick apart a team like Edmonton, and that's kind of what's happening, unfortunately.
And I feel like Florida's got a lot of momentum, and they feel very confident because last year they made it to the finals against the Knights. And a lot of people forget they had like 3 key pieces of their team go down and get injured in that series. So this year they're healthy, they're ready to go, and they're proving it. And I think that's one reason why you see so much confidence from this team.
Yeah.
And you got Mike McDaniel out there leading the drum before the game.
Banging the drum.
Like a weirdo.
He is so weird. He's
like a nerd. Like who let the IT guy in
He
here?
looks like a 13-year-old, 40-year-old. It's the funniest thing
so
ever.
strange looking, man.
I wouldn't mind playing for him, though. He seems like a cool
It is
guy.
really cool. He's good friends with Dan Soder, though.
But as we continue on, teams that have led a best-of-7 Stanley Cup playoff series 2-0 have a series record of 352-56. That is a 863. It's basically like an 86.3% winning percentage. So it happens a lot of times. In the final, there have only been 5 of the 54 teams have overcome a 2-0 deficit to win the series. The 2011 Boston Bruins, 09 Pittsburgh Penguins, the 71 Montreal Canadiens, 66 Canadiens, and the 1942 Montreal Maple Leafs. So it hasn't been done in a while. I don't think it's going to happen this year either. The best way I guess I could put this into terms for me to understand it, and maybe you as well, is like this is like the Kraken versus the Avalanche. Was it last year or the year before? Last year.
Yeah.
It's just a really good team versus a team with a couple good guys, and you got Draisaitl and McDavid, and obviously there's other good guys, but those are the 2 main guys on the team, and much like
Nurse is pretty good.
Yeah, well, and then like you look at like Makar and McKinnon, the Kraken just came in, and as a whole, were just across the board gonna outplay you. And if those two guys can't beat you, then you're screwed.
Yeah.
Because you've got just lines of guys coming at you, and that's kind of what's happening here. We'll see if they can turn it around. I think Game 3 is Thursday.
Yep, Thursday.
So yeah,
My dad's birthday.
Oh dang!
Yep.
Happy
Mr.
birthday,
Mark
Mr.
Martin.
Mark. Early, belated. Well, early.
Dude,
Happy
and
early
we,
birthday.
you know, I always forget about it. We got to keep talking about hockey too, because we just got ranked as the #2 NHL podcast on
on Good Pods.
Yeah, on Good Pods. So hey, we're doing something
If you're on
right.
Good Pods, we know our stuff when it comes to hockey.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how many other hockey podcasts are on Good Pods.
I don't-
But we're #2.
That's
we
right.
might be #1. I
Moving
don't know.
up the ranks.
I don't know. We might be
We're
number
gonna
one.
take that #1 spot.
We're coming for it.
Yep.
We're coming
Well,
for you.
and we're also coming for the basketball podcast ranking. Well, let's.
I think we're in the
move on
top
to-
10 on that, but let's get into it.
Take it roll! Take it roll! Outlet! Rangers! Sandy, come on! Sandy!
T, come out. I'm burning. My legs are burning.
That's how I felt today.
Yeah, I bet.
My knees are just getting old, but
Dang old knees.
my knee
dude.
isn't as bad as Porzingis, where
He's
just
got
early,
some freak injury.
dude.
or
I
something.
got it pulled up here because I want to try to pronounce this injury.
Yeah,
It's a
like
bit-
they're like I thought it was just like a leg injury, and they're like he's got
No.
some sort of freak injury, and I'm like, what is that? How does
and
that happen?
it was cool because it was Doris, who we'll get to later, really pointed it out that like he was trying to hide that limp towards the end of the game, and she was like, "No, I think something's really wrong with them. You got to leave it to the wise Miss Doris Burke." And she called it because all right, well, right now we'll give you a little rundown if you don't watch basketball. If you're not, well, what are you doing? But the Celtics are up a dominant 2-0. This last game was a little closer. Blocked towards the end of the game, kind of really saved it. Kind of controversial block. Could have been a foul, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I watched most of that game. Not most of it. I watched like bits and pieces because I was away over the weekend.
Yeah,
But man, the Celtics are just so deep. It's gonna be really hard to beat that team.
yeah. Well, and when you don't have Kyrie showing up, and I think what is it like? He's 0-13 since he stomped on the Irish guy.
I don't know, man.
Like
I
he
think
has
leopard-
not won. That was like back when he was a net.
Dude,
so that was
people
a
think
while ago.
leprechauns don't exist. I mean, what more evidence do you need? Like
Uh,
they're not letting him win.
Do I need to case in point to the Mobile, Alabama leprechaun video?
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's been on Tosh.0 and all kinds of shit. It's like they're in Mobile, Alabama, in this like predominantly black neighborhood, and they're talking about there's a leprechaun that they've been seeing up
think
in
I-
this tree.
Yeah,
and
now
then,
I
and then
remember.
that lady pulls up. She's like, "I think it's a crackhead
Yeah.
that got into the wrong stuff and climbed up into a tree." And then the other guy pops up. He's like, "I want the gold. Show me the gold." He's like, "Show me the gold." And he's like, "Yeah, show
And like
us
the
gold."
whole hood starts
Yeah.
dancing. Now I remember that was a good.
If
video
you
shit.
haven't watched that video, it's great.
Oh yeah, that's classic
but
YouTube.
Exactly.
Right there.
Case in point, leprechauns are real. Don't you forget it, and don't stomp on
Yeah,
them.
don't. That's some bad luck, man. You
bad
shouldn't-
juju.
That's bad karma. Well, yeah, Kyrie has not shown up. He's shooting like 30% from the field, 0% from three, 0-8 from
Dude,
three.
did you hear that stat that the Mavericks have hit 13 threes and 8 of them are Luka?
Yeah. The rest of the team are 3-31, man.
Yeah.
That sucks, dude.
It reminds me of the Nuggets a little
It does,
bit.
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's two guys are scoring like 50 points.
It sounds all too familiar. But, yeah, let's get back to this. Late in the game, I think it was maybe third quarter, fourth quarter, Kristaps Porzingis, who came back for game one after missing 5 weeks due to a knee injury, suffered what the team called a rare injury to his left leg and is officially listed as questionable for Game 3 on Wednesday. The Celtics announced Tuesday that Porzingis has a torn medial
retinaculum,
retinaculum.
allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg.
We all know what that means.
The old torn medial retinaculum.
Means his leg's gonna fall off.
His leg's coming off.
Yeah. But the team said Porzingis' status for the upcoming finals game will be determined day to day. But he said, and I love this because it's very Rocky, very barbaric, if I have to die out there, I die out there. Damn, dude. I admire that.
If he dies, he dies.
But he got himself an NBA Finals ring.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Yeah. But it's kind of a random situation. Porzingis said Tuesday, I felt something, and now I have to deal with it. So we'll see. I think that makes a big difference. A big thing to hear is the bigs that are going up against him, Derek Lively and Gafford, they do not have his size. They don't have his experience. And unfortunately, Derek Lively is going through a hard time. I believe it was right before the Timberwolves series. He unfortunately lost his mother. He'd already lost his father. He's going through a tough time right now. He's been playing in the last series. He had a really good series, but it's not looking like that this series. And, I mean, Jesus, the Celtics are just so good everywhere. If it's not Jaylen Brown beating you, it could be Drew Holiday. If it's not him, Jason Tatum's getting 12 assists. And then Porzingis is out there hitting threes. I don't know how you stop this team. You know, I feel I did pick them, but I wanted the Mavs to win, so I am bummed that my pick is turning out right so far.
Yeah.
But it's nuts because, you know, when it came down to it, I really didn't think they would do too well because they weren't battle-tested. And then you look at the way Luka was wrapped up like a mummy going into this game. His knee wrapped up, his torso wrapped up, his shoulder wrapped up.
Yeah, I heard he got a shot in his back.
Yeah. Like, shoot me up. It worked because he goes out there and scores 23. So in the first half, the rest of the Mavs had 28 points. Luka had 23. Yeah, he's doing it all.
He ends up with 32 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. I think he's basically averaging a triple-double in the playoffs.
No, he is. Yeah, he had a triple-double in that last game. And if Kyrie steps up, and that's what everybody said, because that game was really close. The Celtics really only pulled away like in the middle of the third quarter. And if Kyrie even has an average game, they win that game.
Yeah, and I do feel bad for him. It just, you look at Luka out there just battling, just getting annihilated.
It's like, just come on, Kyrie.
Yeah, and he's
and then you got Boston.
Else.
Like, dude, you're going in like the most harsh environment to, especially. It's not just like a harsh environment for a regular visiting team or player, but you're Kyrie Irving, who basically like pieced out on the Celtics after you promised you were going to sign with them, and now they are mad.
And now they're fucking you up.
They boo every time he gets the ball.
That's funny.
So, I mean, even we had that kid that I mean, this guy's got balls. I mean, this kid's savage. Where
that kid with the picture?
Yeah, took a picture with Luka, and then right afterwards says Celtics in 4. And then Luka's like, man, why did I take a picture with this kid?
He just
walks off.
He just walked off.
Yeah.
That kid's like, still Celtics in 4. It's just like, damn, dude, you're ice cold.
You were definitely a young masshole already, dude. Yeah. No doubt.
So in the 23-24 playoffs, Luka is averaging 41 minutes played, 29 points per game, 9 rebounds, 8.5 assists.
Yeah,
pretty dang good.
I hope it keeps it going. Down there in Dallas, I'm sure the crowd will be rowdy. Hopefully you'll have Mahomes on the front of this
sidelines.
Yeah, I can't get that, or not sidelines, but
on the court,
front court. What?
Yeah.
Oh God, my brain's not working right now. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. So hopefully that gives them some good luck. They'll have a bunch of other stars there. Last time they had Snoop Dogg, so that was crazy.
Snoop-a-loop.
Yeah. So let's see. Hopefully they make it a series. I mean, the playoffs have honestly been somewhat of a little bit of a letdown. I mean, even aside from our Nuggets getting knocked out. So I'm really hoping we get a good series here.
Yeah, we definitely got a little bit of a kick in the nuts with both the teams we root for going out relatively within the same week, basically.
Yeah.
So it was a little tough, but, you know, I'm trying to get back into it slowly but surely, but it has been a little harder with the way it's been playing out.
That's true. But you know what? You know who's someone I know keeps his head up no matter
before
what?
that, we have 2 things to touch on real quick.
For the NBA? Oh, shit, you're right. Yeah, good call. I almost forgot about this.
Almost forgot about that. Real quick, Jokic is on the preliminary roster for the Serbian Olympic team. Could we be heading to the greatest NBA Olympics competitively?
Well, I'm nervous because they're playing USA in their very first game. I hate that.
I don't like it either.
I don't like that at all. I'd much rather Serbia get a little practice, get some playing time underneath themselves. But it goes to the other side of that, and it's like what we talked about is the United States doesn't really have any good bigs. They've got Bam Adebayo and Anthony Davis, and that's about it for their centers. And we've seen what Jokic does to those guys. So hopefully, I really hope the rest of Serbia is great. I know that there's a lot of good Serbia players in the NBA right now. So it's going to be tough, and I'm really glad Jokic is going to do it. And it is in Paris, so I'm sure the times of the games are going to be really wild for us. But I'm really excited to watch it.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah.
I'm not stoked on him playing either. I'm just kind of like, and then, Murray's playing for Canada. We'll see how much he actually plays. I don't think it's going to be a lot, if at all. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're like 50 days away from it, I think.
Not too far. It's pretty much
soon.
end of July, I think, when it starts.
So keep your eye out for that. But then the big news in the NBA, Dan Hurley snubs the Lakers after they extend a decent contract for a head coach, 6 years, $70 million. And he says no, thank you.
I really beg to differ. I was listening to the past 2 days. Brian Windhorst and everybody on ESPN break this down, especially Brian Windhorst and the coach Seth Greenberg. That is one of their analysts on there. And yes, it's a big raise from his college contract. They offered him 6 years, $32 million to come back as for the UConn coach, and maybe they'll raise that a little bit after he turns this down. We'll see. But 6 years, $70 million to be the Lakers coach. Yeah. That's a slap in the face. When you're making 30, you're making half that to just keep winning in college, and you don't have to deal with LeBron. Yeah, you don't have to deal with LeBron, and that's what a lot of people are talking about. Kendrick Perkins, actually, surprisingly enough, made a really good point. That was like, everybody talks about these teams because they've had these historic franchises like Jerry Jones and the Cowboys and the Lakers, but they're not a desirable job anymore. No. It's not what it used to be. Nobody wants to be there to deal with the headache of that. And that's what I brought up a couple weeks ago when this head coaching thing was going on. They have a history of not paying their coaches. The last time they really paid out for the coach was Phil Jackson. And look what happened. They won. They won. You've got to pay to get a good coach. I mean, goddamn fucking Monty Williams for the Detroit Pistons, who lost a ton of games, is making like $16 million. No, $13.5 million. Yeah. Steve Kerr's making $17 million. He deserves it, but that's what it's going to take. You got to lure these guys. Making over that too. Yeah, I think he's making 11, I believe. But there's and then down there, I think Phoenix, somebody is making $12 million, and that's just it. It's like 6 years, $70 million. I mean, I know it's people that may not kind of understand some of these like contracts. That seems like a lot, but in order to in the grand scheme, if you really, and that's what they wanted Dan Hurley to come in there and establish culture, because he is a very unique college basketball coach where almost got a little of that Bob Knight in him, or just like I'd say Coach K in a sense, where he is animated on the sidelines. He has these guys run a lot in practice, and that's just it. Maybe. Apparently that's what they wanted, but I guarantee you the Lakers players didn't want that, because these college guys coming in trying to establish that college, they want to be pampered in the NBA. They don't want to be ran like college kids. Yeah, well, and then also you just think, I mean, he's going to have to deal with LeBron for one, and is the headache going to be worth it? Because I think the plan was for him to be there through the LeBron AD, finish that out, and then be grooming that next group of the young core for the next eventual run. Yeah. But I think he was just like, nah, man, I'm going to stick to college and keep it easy. Yeah. I mean, how embarrassing for LeBron. I mean, this is going to be his fourth coach on the Lakers. Yeah. Just like, dude, you're like that kid for, like a high school team that nobody wants to coach. Yeah, basically. I mean, that's what it's saying. Well, he wants to be the coach. We all know that. Dude, he wants to be GM, coach. I wish they would just do that. It would be hilarious. I think the last time that happened was Pete Rose. I think Pete Rose was like the last player manager in the major leagues or in the major sports. Right. I'm going to look at it. Last player manager / coach. Yeah. Probably was Pete Rose. Pete Rose. Yeah, nice. Good call. Serving from 84 to 86. Damn. That's total control right there. Pete Rose had a badass, like, bowl cut 70s haircut in this picture I'm looking at right now. And he looked like a mean guy, man. And his batting average, that dude was just one of the best hitters ever. Yeah, no doubt. 3,000 hits. Shit out of the ball. Yeah. Like Tony Gwynn. And not in the Hall of Fame. No, never will be, probably. Yep. So bullshit. So yes, that wraps it up for the NBA. All right, well, it's time for the music break this month. We did a little something different last week. We had
Our Boss's Son on Record 44 was the name of the band. I believe Heart Attack was the name of the song. You can find them on YouTube. But for the rest of the month, we have TUFF BLUFF out of Denver, Colorado. They are an awesome band. I guess you could put it in like garage rock, pop. It's fun stuff. Known half this band for a really long time, but check out TUFF BLUFF. They are coming at you right now. We are back. All right, you just heard Fresh Flesh and Operator off TUFF BLUFF's self-titled debut album. As always, we like to tell everyone to go out and check out TUFF BLUFF's music on all streaming services, and make sure to go to their Bandcamp, tuffbluff.bandcamp.com, to purchase merch or, find out where to get their music or buy it directly from them. So we mentioned we had a little bit of a snafu. We initially recorded the first half of the episode right before the interview, and then I realized right after we got our guest Jake Arthur on the phone that I did not hit record or stream for that matter. So this episode isn't live streamed, but we do have Jake Arthur coming on. He is from the Locked On Colts podcast, as well as a media member for the Colts. You're going to hear him pop on, and it's going to be a little bit of a cut into the interview, but again, we just missed the very beginning, so bear with us and stick around for Jake Arthur.
Yeah. So, I want to know, you are pretty in the circle for the Colts. Would you mind just kind of giving us a little background of yourself and how you kind of got into sports media real quick?
Yeah, no problem. So I am from the Indy area, and I just kind of worked my way up through the blog scene, I guess. Grew up a pretty big Colts fan. Wound up kind of knowing too much and being too geeky about it, not to do anything about it. So I worked my way up through the blog stuff. Ultimately, I landed a spot with Colts.com, their actual website.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, I mean, during COVID, I was a COVID cut, but kind of landed on my feet running the Horseshoe Huddle website, and then I'm also one of the co-hosts of the Locked On Colts podcast.
Well, hell yeah, man! Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and thanks. And I'm part of their credentialed media.
Yeah, I saw that, dude. It seems like you've
awesome.
been going to OTAs pretty much every day, really in the loop of things.
Yeah, finally in the dead period now. They had their mandatory mini camp last week, so now we're kind of in the dead period.
Right. Yeah.
Well, speaking on mandatory minicamp, I mean, Anthony Richardson was out there for the first few days, but then there was a little hiccup. It seems like he had, I don't know if you necessarily call it a flare-up or what, but it looks like his shoulder might have had some issues.
Yeah, so they had the 3 days of camp. It started Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So he left the field briefly with just what they described as a quick back spasm on Tuesday. He got that rolled out, and I don't even think he missed any reps. He got right back in there, and everything was fine. And then the next day, you could see him kind of going off to the side every now and then, and Joe Flacco would be in there getting the reps. And he looked, I don't know, maybe just a little miffed. He was still engaged and showing energy and excitement for his teammates, but personally looked a little put off by what was going on with him. And then so he took probably about half the reps with the first team on Wednesday. Really was the first half, and then Flacco finished things off. And then Thursday, their final day of mini camp, it was a really abridged practice, like they all. The last day is always kind of really short and sweet. He wasn't throwing during that. He did still go through positional drills and everything, but he just didn't actually throw. So we actually got to talk to him and Shane Steichen afterward. And from what they said, and then even things leading up to last week, we've talked to Anthony a couple times now recently. This is to be expected. He only just started throwing again in February, and he is, I think he described it recently as 95% back to himself. But when you go through a surgery like a shoulder surgery and you start using it again as recently as February, it's just gonna have its days where it's sore until it doesn't. It's not totally 100% ready for an NFL quarterback again. Now he can still rip the ball 60 plus yards and everything, and they even said that if he had to play last week, even during that same week with the shoulder, he would have still started. But being the last day of mini camp, there was really no value in pushing it. They know they're going to have those maintenance days. I mean, most days are good, but occasionally he has days where, he described it as achy or sore, and there's just no need to push it on those days, especially since they have this 6-7 week layoff until training camp starts. And, he wants to get in work with his pass catchers and everything like that during the break. So there's just really no benefit in forcing it.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning on your podcast that it's kind of like expected that he was going to have at least like a day off or something. And, you know, that's the smart thing to do. There's no reason to push it. I was pretty fascinated, though, with you guys' mentioning of his connection and chemistry with A.D. Mitchell so far. You want to touch on that, if you don't mind, what you've seen so far from him?
Yeah, absolutely. That's been a really pleasant surprise because obviously Anthony coming into the league last year was viewed as like a really raw prospect. Now he wound up appearing to be pretty ahead of the curve for where people thought he was, and he was a little better passer, a little more ready-made. So for him to already be able to put the ball in good spots was a positive sign. Now A.D. Mitchell, he fell to the second round, not necessarily because he was raw. Like he does have some things to iron out, but he was kind of known as a big play machine only so far that needs to iron out all the smaller stuff, I guess. And so far we've seen a lot of the big plays. Now media only got to see one OTA practice per week during OTA, so we saw 2 OTA practices and then all 3 minicamp practices. And I felt like Mitchell made a big play every day that we saw.
Wow.
The vast majority of it was with Richardson. And, I mean, you hate for anyone to be hurt, but Michael Pittman Jr. was not out there for the last few weeks because he got in a collision with the defender during OTA, so they held him out the last couple weeks. So with Pittman not being out there, and then Alec Pierce wasn't out there during minicamp, so the 2 normal starting outside receivers were out, which gave Mitchell, you know, way more opportunities to go out there and play with not only the rest of the first team offense, but Richardson. And, you know, Richardson is not long enough, obviously, in the league to be set in his ways and to have certain guys that he is just locked onto. So he's still kind of spreading the ball around, and he's already shown quite a bit of trust in A.D. Mitchell. It's been mostly downfield stuff, and he'll even give him 50-50 balls, which Mitchell almost always comes down with. So I'm really, really interested to see what that combo looks like during training camp, because the Colts are going to have, obviously, 3 preseason games. But those final 2 preseason games, they're going to have joint practices with those teams. It's the Cardinals and the Bengals in those back-to-back weeks. So it's always great, and, you know, kind of everyone thinks it's sexy when you see the shiny new receiver making plays, but it's against your own defense. And the Colts, it's like every year they have one of these receivers that just like blows up training camp and then doesn't do anything, like when the lights come on during the regular season. So it's big time fingers crossed that that's not the case with Mitchell. Now Mitchell is he's got way higher expectations than any of those other guys, second round pick, but really first round talent. And he's playing with an explosive quarterback who likes to go downfield. So it's so far so good. And, I think Mitchell, because of the trust that Richardson has shown in him, is going to be able to contribute a little earlier than I anticipated. I figured he would have at least some small role in the passing game once the regular season starts. But if we keep seeing what we're seeing, then at some point he's going to start, the balance of snaps is going to start turning in his favor versus Alec Pierce at some point.
Yeah, you would definitely hope that would happen. I mean, aside from, wide receivers in the draft, as they went with A.D. Mitchell and then Anthony Gould in the, looks like the 4th round, I noticed like they were obviously very heavy on defense, whether it be Latu in the 1st round all the way down to Laulu in the final round. But they did have a pretty big hit this last week as Daniel Scott suffers a season-ending Achilles injury. And now they are down to one free safety on the roster at this point.
Yeah, the problem with that is, so they know that Julian Blackmon is going to be their starting strong safety. He's a very reliable player. He's very smart. His problem is he hasn't really had any seasons where he's been able to play all 16, 17 games. So your best safety is a guy who doesn't have a clean track record of health. they really don't know who the free safety is going to be next to him. Rodney Thomas earned that spot as a rookie 2 years ago, but he took a little bit of a step back last year. He ultimately got replaced in the lineup. Nick Cross is going into his third year. That's a guy they absolutely loved coming out of the draft. They actually traded up for him in the third round a couple years ago. But he hasn't quite – they haven't quite felt comfortable handing him the reins to, like, be that every week starter yet. I imagine if they're not going to make a move for a safety, you know, there's Justin Simmons out there. There's Quan.
Please get
There
Justin
are
Simmons.
guys
Say
out there.
somebody get.
I
Justin
really
Simmons.
hope you guys sign him instead of Chris and the Broncos signing him again. And I know he wants to stay in Denver, but I, as a Chiefs fan, don't want that.
Yeah.
Right. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, at this point, if you sign a veteran at this point in the offseason, it's going to be a one-year deal. I don't know how much he wants, like 8, 9, 10 million, whatever it is. Like, they have the space for it. He's going to make the defense better. Otherwise, you're just rolling the dice and hoping that you can find your starting safety tandem and that they survive the season together.
Do you think?
And I mean, again, Blackman, but Nick Cross would be a big gamble, and then you've seen Rodney Thomas take a little bit of a step back. So we've kind of been yelling for a veteran addition there all off season. They just haven't done it yet.
Well, yeah, and Justin Simmons leads the NFL in interceptions since 2016 with 30.
Yeah.
And, you know, I feel like that is one of the things you see with a lot of the focus on the Colts defense is trying to get turnovers, and what better way to do that than to have, you know, a center fielder basically ball hawking balls all the time. So I hope they do it. I can't believe he's still sitting out there on the free agent market. It's sad.
Do you think there's a chance that Jalen Simpson, I know you guys want a veteran to kind of take that spot. You guys drafted that safety from Auburn. Do you think he might be able to rise the ranks and take that starting role?
I think initially their plan is to have him at outside corner.
Okay.
Because I thought it would be a good idea, too, when they drafted him. I thought he was going to be in there in the mix at free safety. But they explained just like his traits and his IQ and everything. They want him at corner. Plus, he's really, really light. He's like 170 pounds or something. So I think putting him at safety, there'd be a bit of a concern with tackling and just the physicality of it, which it makes sense. I thought a clearer path for him to make the roster would be at safety. But if they're worried about his survival out there, basically, you know, so to speak in football terms, or, you know, his reliability in being that last line of defense, I get it. But it looks like, at least initially, he's going to keep getting those looks at outside corner. Now, I mean, he's near the bottom of the depth chart there, but they've got a couple spots that might be open in terms of their corner depth.
Well, yeah, and then they picked up Micah Abraham as well. So, I mean, they do have some options for sure. But how has Latu looked out there in the OTA sessions?
Yeah, so, you know, starting out with the rookie minicamp, he was unblockable. Like, you put the best pass rusher in college football the last couple of years up against a rookie camp, and it just does not look fair.
Yeah.
So he was wreaking havoc in rookie minicamp. And then, you know, you move it along to mixing it in with the veterans, and it still looked good. Like, he wasn't quite as disruptive as he was during rookie minicamp. But I was watching him specifically, you know, last week during minicamp, and he just looks different. Like, the Colts have a bunch of really talented, athletic edge rushers, but his ability, he's already so polished in terms of his moves and counter moves and everything that he doesn't have any wasted motion. And when he is in combat, you know, when he's putting those moves on or having to counter what the blocker's doing, he's able to do it still in motion. He does not lose momentum. And it's really unique to see. You don't see that a lot. Because, you know, without the injury concern, I think he's probably a top 5 or 6 pick locked in, you know. Because I think most people agreed he had the best tape among pass rushers. There was just the issue with his neck, which, of course, that's a huge concern. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Colts weren't the only team to be comfortable with it. But, I mean, he's considered the best pure pass rusher in the draft for a reason. Like, he definitely looks the part. And he's explosive, smooth. He's got a million moves. Like, you know, as long as he stays healthy, I cannot imagine that pick not working out.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing, like, those neck injuries are scary. You look at Leighton Vander Esch, who just had to retire early due to neck injuries and stuff.
Yeah.
I get why there's always trepidation with that because, you're dealing with paralysis and stuff like that. It could be pretty serious stuff. But, I mean, fingers crossed everything works out. The last thing you guys need is any more injury issues with high draft picks. I mean, with quarterbacks alone, you guys have had not the best luck, from Peyton Manning to, Andrew Luck to now Anthony Richardson suffering season-ending injury. So let's hope all is well on the injury front this year.
Well, and it's smart you guys went out and got Joe Flacco, because that'll be a good backup just in case Richardson gets hurt.
That's right. I mean, you hate to ever have to see the backup, but Joe can still rip it, man. Like, last year we obviously got a real heavy dose of Gardner Minshew, and as a result, the Colts knew that offense needed to be quick and they weren't going to have a bunch of long developing stuff. And as a result, they ran the most RPOs in the league because they had to get that ball out quickly. Watching Flacco, like, he rips it. He is officially in the gunslinger portion of his career. Like, especially if you watch last year with Cleveland.
Yeah.
There's gonna be picks, but there's also gonna be big plays. Like, he put his Brett Favre hat on with the Browns, and it still looks the same, out there with the Colts right now. Like, he was so aggressive in practice in the ones that we've seen. He went downfield a bunch. He has kind of shown an affinity for Anthony Gould. Gould being a big downfield threat for Flacco apparently throughout practice. So good to see. I mean, you hope it's Anthony Richardson out there for 17 games.
Definitely.
But if not, I at least am confident that there will be some sort of downfield passing game, which was totally non-existent last year.
That would be nice. I mean, I was there at the 2012 AFC Championship game when he launched the bomb to Jacoby Jones, and so I'm all aware of how well Joe Flacco can throw the deep balls. It's still etched in my memory for all time.
Still got it, baby.
He does, yeah.
I love how on the
he
podcast
looked great last year.
One of your most recent episodes, one of you guys had said that last year was his YOLO season. That made me chuckle a little bit, man.
Yeah.
'Cause he didn't give a fuck, man. He was just out there slinging it, and that just cracked me up because he definitely did. And from what you've said in OTAs, he's kind of like on that same tip. So he's like, screw it, I'm gonna go out there and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, it looked good with Cleveland. They were 4-2. He averaged over like 320 passing yards. Like, he was really productive. You're going to have to live with some of those turnovers, but if it's resulting in big plays, it's kind of how the Colts offense is built. I mean, Flacco didn't have the run game with Cleveland last year that he should have with Jonathan Taylor this year. But I mean, the Colts have a downfield threat now with Pierce. They obviously have A.D. Mitchell. They have some really talented tight ends. Michael Pittman and Josh Downs can clean up everything, near the sticks and everything. So, God forbid if Flacco has to play, I think he's got the pass catchers to handle it.
Well, you just brought up Pittman. He was one of, their main free agent acquisitions, is they didn't bring in too many guys from outside in the free agency world. But I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with signing your own guys and keeping them close to home. But what was kind of your guys' thought process on how free agency went for the Colts this year?
Yeah, they brought back they brought back dang near everybody, but it's like they brought back all the guys that I thought they really needed to. And again, it's not sexy when it's re-signing all your own players, but when you look at it from the perspective of, Michael Pittman Jr. would have been one of the top offensive players on the open market, and you would have had to pay exponentially more to let him really hit the free market out there. Grover Stewart is one of the best nose tackles in the NFL. He would have had a big market. Kenny Moore, for the second time, has become one of the highest paid slot defenders in the league. So you brought back a lot of essential players. It's not sexy because it's not outside players. My gripe is that there are some positions that clearly need help or depth that they just haven't really addressed, and it's kind of the outsiders versus them when it comes to their secondary, because we've kind of said all offseason it would be really nice for them to get another corner who's capable of starting. It doesn't have to be like a no-doubt starter like a Xavier Howard, but someone who had experience. Kendall Fuller was an option early in training camp. Steven Nelson just retired, but that was a name we put out there because he was really versatile. But then at safety I still stand by because I don't think they're super comfortable with whoever's going to be starting at free safety. Their cornerback room is very young, but they really like it. At least they have conviction about that. They're not naive to the fact that it's inexperienced and perhaps lacks depth. They love the group they have. So that's a group they will sit there and say, we don't need to do anything because we like these guys. That remains to be seen. If they are as injured as they were last year, then they'll probably have to eat crow on that. But there was a couple positions out there that they really could have helped themselves out doing, working on. But otherwise, I was totally fine with their offseason. I think they have totally supported Anthony Richardson's development because, they've got these pass catchers. They've got a really diverse group of offensive players. They're bringing back the entire offensive line from last year, an offensive line that really kind of had a rebirth. They were known for being one of the best in the league for a few years, and then they took just a nosedive in 2022. But 2023, they were kind of back with a vengeance, and the Colts brought everyone back. But they're kind of preparing for the inevitable breakup of that core five because, Ryan Kelly is getting older and has had some injury issues. Braden Smith has had some injury issues. So in the last couple of years, they've drafted Blake Freeland, Matt Gonzalez, and Tanner Bortolini. So I think they did a good job of kind of preparing for needs that they're going to have, not necessarily immediately, but, within a year down the road.
Gotcha. And they did sign Trey Sermon. I think that was a pretty good one. He was always decent on the 49ers, so hopefully they might spread the ball a little bit between, not giving Taylor so many carries to run him into the ground. I think Sermon could be a good third down back for you.
Yeah, so they re-signed him. They had him last year.
Yeah.
And of course, Jonathan Taylor had all those injury problems, but they had Zach Moss in there. There was really like one game that Sermon had to step up. It was him and Tyler Goodson. They dominated the Steelers. Like they both each had like a handful of touches, but they both averaged like 6 or 7 yards per touch in that game. They were both awesome. And so Sermon, I don't think he's going to have a huge role as long as Jonathan Taylor's in there because I think he's essentially the backup to Taylor's role.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll probably be like Taylor and then whoever wins out as the pass catching back between Evan Hull and Tyler Goodson. But like if Taylor were to get hurt, then yes, Trey Sermon then becomes your, 15 plus carry early down back. I think they're comfortable with that. I just don't think there's probably not a ton of room in the backfield to share reps with Taylor. Zach Moss did an awesome job last year and would have ran for well over 1,000 yards if Taylor would have been out the whole time. But even Moss, they kind of phased out as Taylor got more and more comfortable in Shane Steichen's system after he returned from his injuries.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah, hopefully Taylor can get back to that, like, what was that, his 2,000-yard season he had?
Yeah.
Something? It was, rookie year or second year?
Yeah, so 2021, he had like 1,800 yards rushing. Or so. He had over 2,000 yards from scrimmage,
Yeah.
20 touchdowns. He had the best season that Colts running backs ever had. That includes Eric Dickerson, Marshall Faulk, Edgerrin James. Like
That's some names there.
He had an enormous season, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd like to see him get back to that. You got some tough competition there with the Texans down there. So, it'd be nice being a Chiefs fan if you guys could just take care of that for me. It'd be pretty good. And then I don't think you guys got much to worry about with the Jags. So, I think there's definitely a good chance that you guys could take the division.
It was close. It came down to that Week 18 game last year. It came down to a blown 4th and 1 on a drop pass between the Colts and Texans for the division.
Mm-hmm.
And so the Texans had their number on that one. They've clearly had an awesome offseason. I was a little worried that the Colts probably weren't doing enough to even themselves with the Texans, and that still maybe not be the case, but the Colts are following their own plan. You know, they're not really worried about what other teams in this division are doing. I mean,
Yeah.
having Latu out there to kind of combat Stroud is great. I love adding Mitchell to kind of hopefully fight fire with fire a little bit. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I do understand the Texans had to speed things up a bit because of how ahead of the clock that Stroud's development put them. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the Jaguars are still a decent team. I mean, they're not too different from the team that just won the division a couple years ago. The Titans, they're the ones I'm not really worried about. You know, I feel like I hate their depth every year. They have an ancient receiving core right now, and you know, Will Levis is fine. You know, maybe it's a little bit of the barbing back and forth between Colts fans and Titans fans. We get a lot of that in our comments.
This is perfect. We just actually had on Justin Graver last week, who does the Titans podcast. So
Yeah.
I didn't even realize this, but we're having like a little battle right
Yeah.
here.
There we go.
That's awesome.
Well, man, we really appreciate you hopping on with us. If you'd like to, just give everybody a little rundown where they can find you, and then we'll let you get out of here and get on with your night. We greatly appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah, no problem, fellas. Thanks for having me. So I'm on social media everywhere at Jake Arthur NFL. I am one half of the Locked On Colts podcast. You can find us YouTube wherever you get shows. Recently got us on Instagram and TikTok, so
Nice.
finally joining all the youths out there.
We got a TikTok this week.
So.
Haven't put anything up.
We
there
haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah, we're still figuring it out.
Might have to have like a 14-year-old
Man.
teach us or something.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're out here grinding, man. It's hard to figure out sometimes.
It is, man.
Yeah.
You gotta find.
Well, you guys are a huge inspiration. Just, you know, we're a couple of Joe Schmoes trying to eventually make our way up to like where you've kind of climbed yourself up to, and it's pretty admirable and inspirational. And hats off to you, man.
Yes.
Well, I really appreciate that. I mean, we all start somewhere. I mean, again, like I said at the top, you know, I just kind of started in the whole blog area, and I eventually started working for the team's website. So everyone starts somewhere. You just, you know, keep working is all.
Yeah,
Right.
you got to get your foot in the door somewhere.
Hell yeah.
Well, man, Jake,
Yep.
we appreciate it greatly, and good luck to you this year and your Colts. And hopefully, you know, maybe somewhere around the quarter point of the season, we could have you on again and discuss how things are going.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys just let me know whenever you want me back.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
We will reach out. You have a great rest of your night. Thanks for hopping on tonight, man.
Awesome. Take care, fellas.
You
Have
do
a
the
good
same.
one.
But all right,
Indianapolis
yes.
Colts.
The Colts are on the board.
I cannot believe it took me till the end of the interview to realize.
Yeah,
like,
we
we went
we're
from
in the same division.
Yeah.
Like, we need to get a Texans person.
That's
on
what I'm
now.
saying, man. I might have to try that. Yeah, the Texans and then
We didn't start
Titans.
out that way, but we fell into something, you know.
Yeah,
But,
just having a little AFC little battle here.
yeah, a little
AFC
battle,
South kind of battle.
So.
Nice.
And as Chad was trying to get to just before this, it is now time for the man, the myth, the legend himself, Mr. John Daly. He's about to hit it hard, man.
I hit it hard, man. So far, man. No laying up, no holding back. Ain't afraid of nothing, it's a natural fact. I hit it long, man. Till it's gone, man. Keep taking chances.
Living large. I hit it hard. That's right. It is the end of episode 87 on this day of June the 11th, Tuesday. We've made it to the end, and we are featuring one of our favorite announcers in any sport, Miss Doris Burke, as she is the first female to call the NBA Finals.
No, not just that though.
Oh.
To call any championship game in any sport.
Oh, look
Yeah,
at that.
that's
Chad just
pretty cool.
learned me.
Yep. It is pretty amazing. JJ Redick really gave her her flowers it was like right after the game, before when he was talking to SVP right afterwards, and JJ made a point to highlight that, and you know, she was trying to hold back the tears and stuff, and I just think they're a great tandem. I really hope he doesn't take the Lakers job. I really, that's my favorite commentating pair. Him, Mike Breen, and
yeah, they are really good.
Doris is amazing, man.
I do think we are going to hear the announcement after the finals that JJ Redick is the coach.
No, he's not the leading candidate. He hasn't even had a second interview right now, though. It could happen.
I feel like his relationship with LeBron. But let's not. This is about Doris Burke.
That's right.
So Doris joined ESPN in 1990, and she has covered the finals since 2009. She was a sideline reporter for ABC's coverage from 2009 to 2019 before serving as an analyst on ESPN Radio for the past 4 finals. And now she gets her chance to call the finals this year. And she's doing an incredible job. I've always said anytime last year on the Nuggets run in the conference finals, she was incredible.
She's so unbiased. That's the best part about it. She's not, she's not subjective with like a team that she really likes. I mean, it is about as neutral as it gets, and her love for the game comes out, and her passion. She's just like very overzealous with it, but I don't. That's not a negative point. I think that's a good way.
It's not like where you're listening to Stephen A. talk about the team the Knicks are playing and then sitting on the sideline of the Knicks game.
No, it's
later
rough.
that night.
It's like when Troy Aikman calls a Cowboys game. I mean, there's clear bias into it. It's like, dude, you accepted this role. You've got to step back and be a commentator.
Yeah.
We don't want to hear it.
Or Michael Irvin.
Yep. No, that too. But yeah, she's great for ESPN, and I think with the knowledge and analytics side that JJ brings to it, and experience by being a player, and she also was a college player. She played for Providence in Rhode Island, competed as a member of Providence Friars women's basketball team as the point guard for 4 years. Burke finished her career averaging 17.6 and 7 assists per game. As a freshman, she led the Big East in assists. I mean, she knows basketball. She's played basketball. So, yeah, she really knows her stuff, and I really think she deserves this, and I think what better person to be the first woman, and it's a long time coming. This should be, it's wild that in 2024 it's the first time that a woman's covering a championship game, but yeah, what better person than Miss Doris Burke?
Yeah, and a lot of people have hailed her as always being one to give flowers to those that came before her, and she didn't even get emotional when talking about this of her calling the finals. It was when she was talking about her teammates Mike Breen and JJ Redick, because this is Breen's 19th finals, but his first since 2006, where Jeff Van Gundy hasn't been an analyst.
Thank God.
Van Gundy and Mark Jackson were laid off last July as part of his job cuts, but Breen, Van Gundy, and Jackson called 15 finals together, and this is their first time now doing it without it. And it's the one nice thing about Doris Burke is it feels like she's just one of those people who's just down to earth in the fact that she knows where she's come from and who came before her, and that she wouldn't be there without that crossing of things happening. So I'm happy for her, and I'm glad that this will probably be the first of many finals that she'll be calling. So
I hope so. Yeah.
Cheers to Doris Burke on that one.
That's right. Hats off to you. You definitely deserve the daily dose of excellence.
Yes, the daily dose of excellence goes to you, Doris Burke. That was a lot of D's to all say right there. But we appreciate each and every one of you tuning in this week. We had a little bit of a weird episode. It'll be fine. You guys won't notice the difference, but we will.
Hey, we're having a Falcons insider on next week. He was the 2022 Georgia Sports. How was that a Falcons?
I don't know.
But he was the Georgia 2022 Sports Writer of the Year. Very acclaimed writer and insider. We're excited.
And we will see you next week.
Love
Toodles.
You all.
Love y'all.
Love